I've done it. I've successfully hacked the mainframe. Shit. Alright, there we go. I've successfully hacked the mainframe. I'm in. Hello, everybody. I am sick. So, wish me luck for today's stream. This is 3 to 4 hours of uninterrupted yapping. Maybe 5, maybe 6, maybe 8, maybe 12. Normally 3 to 4. And I've been sick since my last live stream. In case you were wondering, there was a possibility that I might die during that live stream. I did. So, I've come back from the dead. Luckily, it was close enough to Halloween and like the day after that they were nice enough and let me live. But I did officially die. I've been sick for 3 days. And I started coughing today. I'm mostly fine. I just started coughing just out of fucking nowhere. It's very common for me. So I'm very used to it. But what I'm not used to is yapping for 3 to 4 hours straight during that time. So, wish me luck. I have some tea. It's probably too hot to drink. I made it during the ad. So, I'm hopefully that's gonna help a little bit. Yeah. I also have water. I have Jester, who's on his way. He's acting like a nurse. He's my resident nurse. He takes care of me. Jester, hey, come. I love that I can hear that when he's doing something that he's not supposed to, just by hearing him. Hey, Jester. Alright, he's here. The nurse is in. The doctor is in, I guess. He's the doctor. He's not a nurse. He's a doctor. A dog-ter. I may have lost my health, but I have not lost my sense of humor. Unfortunately. Okay. Yes, I'm in the mainframe. I've successfully hacked the mainframe, but what I haven't hacked is this fucking camera that keeps dropping. Alright, that's better. That's mostly better. Jester, can you get on the bed, please? It's very empty on this side of the screen behind me, so... I don't have a dog doctor, I have a cat doctor, which is never here. Ooh, that sucks. Cats are not... Cats are actually closer to real doctors. They don't really care about you. They mostly just want you to get out of their way. Alright. Still need to put something on that side of the wall, because it's very empty, but at the very least we have something for the bottom part. A little prop going on there. Okay. Well, hello everybody. Today, you will witness a live death. Okay, hopefully not. Nah, I'm mostly doing fine. I just have a cough and my nose is a little bit stuffy, I guess. But yeah, like I said, I haven't talked this much all week, so that's gonna be a problem. Put Jester's photo on the wall. Fair. Just like a giant picture of him. I don't... You said photo. I'm just assuming you meant like a giant poster. I'm assuming you meant something gigantic. Because that's what it's gonna be. Okay. Well, GTA 6 has been delayed. So we're not gonna be playing that today. Unfortunately. We were not gonna be playing that today either. But hey, we're definitely not playing it now. Not for another year. Also, if they don't release PC on day 1, I'm not playing it for like another 2 years. I'm not buying a PlayStation again. I'm really bad at console games. I just cannot handle the damn joystick. Well, I'm bad with gunplay. I'm good with everything else. So walking, driving, and melee. But for GTA, you kind of need the gunplay. It's kind of important. Okay. It's amazing how I've wasted all my time of speaking without coughing in saying absolutely nothing of importance. Here we go. Here we fucking go. Now that I was gonna say something actually relevant. GTA on PS5 doesn't feel right. Isn't that the main platform that they release on? Or are you saying that they're probably gonna do a PS6 before they do GTA 6? Because at this point, might as well. Okay. Last time on last stream, that was Monday, I worked a little bit on my system's inter-process communication, on resizing windows, coughing out a lung. I'm actually feeling better than I was this morning, so that's good. And it's working fine now. A window actually resizes and then resizes. It works multiple times. I have to say, it was working last I left it on stream. You could resize a window, and then the process that handles the window drawing was actually made aware of that and resized the outside window with the inside content of the window. But it only worked once. The second time it crashed. Also, another thing that would crash was the cat process. Shooting on gamepad feels like shooting on a steering wheel. So I'm not the only one. I feel like a lot of people grew up with console games and are used to them, and I did not. So I find it... See, now terminal works as well now. I find it really difficult to work with. Okay, bye. Bitch. The YouTube chat is not working? I think it's working. What do you mean it's not working? Would much rather use a touchpad than a controller? Honestly, I've actually used the touchpad on MacBooks to play GTA San Andreas, and it wasn't half bad. There's this one... Well, actually, with my first MacBook, I don't think I ever used an external mouse. I always used the trackpad, even for games. Although, granted, a lot of... You don't get a lot of games on Mac, but the ones that I did get, like San Andreas, worked really well on it. Also, completely irrelevant story, but San Andreas was the first time that I was able to claim self-defense and get away with no consequences. Because I was like 14 when I was playing that on that MacBook. And I was playing it while traveling. I was at my grandma's house. And my mom was sitting next to me. She was on the phone. But she kind of like saw what I was doing. She saw that I was playing GTA. And I was in a tank. Just indiscriminately shooting, destroying, killing, maiming. Just absolute fucking chaos. And when my mom got off the phone, she was like, "What is the game you're playing? It looks really violent." And I was like, "Oh, no, it's not. I was just defending myself." And she was like, "Oh, okay, then it's fine." So yeah, I claimed self-defense and it worked. I was just defending myself against innocent civilians in Las Venturas, apparently. With a tank. I was defending myself with a tank. If that sounds politically relevant in any way, not my intention. Okay, so I'm realizing I left some logs here that I shouldn't have left in. But yeah, we've got a whole year before GTA 6. A whole year and like a week or so. Like 10 days, I think. 12 days. If I'm not mistaken, they said 19th. So that means I have enough time to release my own open world shooter game and take over the market before they do it. So clearly that's what we're going to be doing starting today. In Unity, the best game engine ever made. Can't say that without laughing, can you? All right. Okay, so I was saying before, I fixed most of the bugs that I found. The crash that was happening in the terminal seems to be fixed. The crash that was happening when resizing windows, or actually when opening processes twice after resizing a window, I actually don't know what triggered it. It just kind of fixed itself. I honestly don't know what I did to fix it, but it's fixed. So that's great. And I finally got around to redesigning or re-implementing the listing contents of a directory syscall. And wait, actually I didn't do the syscall. I still haven't implemented the actual syscall, but I definitely need to do that. Now it's actually possible to do it. But I implemented, yeah, the listing contents of a directory function, not syscall, but the function, so that it can, the change is simple. It's just that the memory where all the like strings of content are held are now, is now allocated by the process requesting it instead of by the file system itself. So it's just a memory management thing, but it was a necessary change. I was unwilling to implement this function anywhere else in the system. It's mostly not implemented in most of the file system modules. It pretty much is only used to load this, and that's about it. That's the only place where it really fully works. And the main reason I didn't want to implement it more is because I knew I had to make this change. So now that I've made this change, I'm going to implement it, this function where it needs to be implemented. So we're going to be able to list the entire file system, ideally. We're going to be able to do it via syscall, which means if you want to create a file explorer, because you live in the year 2010, then you are welcome to do it. Obviously, not because you live in the year 2010. I am tolerant of all ideologies, including the ones that think that the file system is an end user requirement for an operating system in the year 2025. I support your beliefs, although I don't agree with you. And clearly I have contracted the plague from being a sinner. Linus Torvalds himself has just punished me. How to make the system load configs? Right now there's no way of doing that, but that's the plan for today. Kind of. I don't know. Well, I don't know what you mean by configs. Or I don't know if you're talking about your system or my system or someone else's system, or I don't know. I just realized it's to do that was here can easily be to done. Amazing. I love when to-dos are to done. My voice even sounds a little different. I feel like Phoebe when she got sick in Friends, if you understand that reference from like about 50 years ago. There's 111 to-dos in my system. When I started streaming, there were 60. And I was like, I should probably take care of some of these. Now there's 111. It might not look like it, but I have actually taken care of several of these. You just saw me take care of one. They just keep piling on. I guess you can track a project's completion from how many to-dos it has. The more, the merrier. The more to-dos your project has, the more it means that you stop development at a certain point and you were like, this is good enough for now. We'll deal with this eventually, but not right now. So in a way, it shows completion, if you ask me. You probably shouldn't ask me. But if you ask me, it does. Also, I said I implemented that thing with the file system. So that you pass your own buffer. That then gets filled in with the contents of a directory. That's true, but there's no offset. And without an offset, that means you either pass me a buffer big enough to fit the entire contents of a directory, or you can go fuck yourself, essentially, because you won't get enough data. So it's not fully implemented yet. But right now I'm passing 4 kilobytes of memory, and if the directory has so much stuff in it that it cannot fit 4 kilobytes, it cannot fit its string of names in 4 kilobytes, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but you probably shouldn't be doing it. I also just realized it says here list size. I create it and then I don't use it. Whoops. Okay. That was a very disturbing noise. I thought it was just their crime, but no, it was just like, I don't know, old pipes or something. If you have these configs for the apps, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Are you talking about the configuration files that I created a while ago? That like give apps like this one a name and an author? You just have to put a file called package.info in TOML format. TOML-ish format. Because I found it easier to make a parser that was just really reliant, not reliant, tolerant, so to speak. It's probably not. It's probably super easy to break it, but the ways that I looked into breaking it, you couldn't break it. You just have to create one of these. Really, all you need is this. App name and app author. You can have an app version, but I don't do anything with it. That's just for you to internally keep track of if you want. Okay. Why did that tea taste spicy? Oh, what the hell? I'm a little concerned because it's lemon tea. Okay, well, if I die, I die. Okay. So. Just gonna commit the changes that I made real quick. But the system is quite a lot more stable. Kind of, I guess, yeah. And I think, yeah, it works well. Now we have inter-process communication and we have listing directories to be expanded, but it's there. And I want to work on system customization today a little bit. Okay. I'm not entirely sure the tea that I got was lemon. This tastes really weird for lemon. I'm gonna go check. Hold on. This is not lemon. It claims to be lemon. It doesn't really taste like lemon. Although I have to admit, my sense of smell is not the best right now, so maybe that's the reason. Come. Why are you acting scared? Every time I stream, you act scared. You're so weird. No, I don't even know why he's acting scared. I think it's because when I come into this room a lot of times and tell him to come in here, then I lock him inside and because when I leave my house, I lock him in here. So he never knows if I'm asking him to come in here because I'm gonna be in here or to come in here because he's gonna be locked in here for hours. He never knows. So I guess that's why he acts scared. But like Jester, if you see me talking into... Actually, this is a pretty bizarre thing. I'm talking to myself and there's stuff happening over here, but like... He has no idea what's happening. He has no idea I'm talking to people. How to load? If you just put a package.info into the root of your project, into the .red package, it should be set up. You have the redacted template repository. This one has a clearer example of the package.info, and just in case, check the make file. Oh, another change that I made. The ELF file loader is slightly less dumb than it used to be. That is the reason the system was crashing a lot. You had an exam for your OS class in your university and you got a D? I failed mine. So don't compare yourself to me because you're gonna win. I failed my OS class exam like twice, I think. I had to retake it to the point that I was the only one taking the test by the end of it. I had to take it in like the guy's office, the professor's office. Because he was like, yeah, I'm not using an entire class just for you. Just come take it in my office. And I passed, at least. Okay, so I feel like this part of the text here is no longer relevant. The ELF file loader inside the system is quite dumb, might not currently handle all sections. If the BSS... Oh no, this part is still true. That's never mind. Never mind. Never mind, this is still true. I should do this. I should do this. But... Holy fuck. Wait, maybe not. I need to do some testing. Because there's a chance that this is no longer true. Jester, why are you crying? Oh my god, this... He has abandonment issues so deep that even when I'm not abandoning him, he feels like he's being abandoned. Relatable. But yeah, there's a chance this is actually not true anymore. But the ELF file loader is no longer as dumb as it used to be. Now it actually like looks for specific sections and loads them. Whereas before it was just like, oh, you got an ELF file? Great, just put it in memory and run it. Not the best. How long did the memory manager take you? Memory manager. Like the allocator? Or the MMU? Which one are you talking about? Like, keep in mind that an operating system's work is like 60% memory management, so you have to narrow it down a little bit more what you mean. Everything with memory? Like I said, most of what you do in an operating system has to do with memory, so months, if you think about it. But it depends. Like the current page allocator, I wrote it. How long is a flight from London? Like 2 hours? I wrote it in like 2 hours. Oh, you mean physical memory and virtual memory. Okay, so that's a big one. Because I actually have my MMU, which is the one that manages virtual memory, right? So that one took me a little bit to figure out, but not too much. It's a little bit annoying. And it's definitely a pain in the ass to debug, because if you break it, chances are you lose everything. You lose access to your system, you lose access to your exception handler, you lose access to even GDB might not work correctly. So you won't know what's actually happening. You'll just be like, yeah, it stopped working. And that's all you'll know. So that is a bit of a pain in the ass. About my MMU, I'm in the process of making some changes to it because right now it only does identity mapping. So no, MMU error fatal kernel panic state is actually wrong. In the best case scenario, yes, that's true. In the worst case scenario, the handler for the kernel panic state is also within a page that's having issues with the MMU, and so you don't even get to that point. For example, there's some limitations on how you can make memory behave. Like this, I believe. If I wanted to make my can I? Yes. If I wanted to make, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. I don't remember what that stands for, but I'm pretty sure if you make your memory here, your memory permission, 1, 0, that is an invalid state. I don't even remember fully why, because it sounds from the architecture manual, it sounds like it makes sense. I don't remember what it stands for, but yeah, it sounds like it makes sense. And it should be like the user land has access to it, but the kernel does not. Or no, userland has read-write access and kernel has... No. Userland has read-only access and kernel has... Yes, okay. Userland has read-only and kernel has read-write. That sounds valid. Memory that is read-only for the user and read-write for the kernel. Sounds reasonable, but that's actually invalid. So it crashes. If that happens, when that happened to me, when I was figuring this out, which I'm pretty sure was on stream maybe, I don't remember. But when I was figuring this out, turns out it will crash your entire system and your crash handler will not work. And so you won't actually know what crashed. It'll just randomly Stop. What did I say it was? 1-0? Let's test it. Maybe I'm talking on my ass here. I'm talking out of my ass here. Wait, no, never mind. There's no user length at this point. I'm a little concerned here. Alright? What the fuck is happening? I'm actually pretty sure I actually removed the situation that was happening. That's totally what's happening there. So now I do remember it. There's some cases in which it will straight up just crash your system and it won't even get to the crash handler. That's a problem. If the memory where the crash handler is mapped incorrectly, you're screwed. So, yeah. Fatal kernel panic state is the best case scenario. And if you don't have an exception or panic handler, you definitely want to get that before you do any kind of memory management. And I think it's a good idea to start with identity mapping. So every virtual address is the same as every physical address. And then do virtual memory after that. So do it in steps. Which is kind of what I'm doing, but a little bit slower than it should be. Because it's taken me months to actually do that. I actually have this branch that I cannot enter without committing my changes. There. Which actually should merge command line into MMU. That's good. And see how that works. I honestly haven't read any books on OS development. I don't like reading technical books. This is what I meant. It crashed. And I don't know where exactly, because the crash handler crashed. So it's just forever faulting. You know the sad part? This branch used to work with this one until very recently. I don't know what happened. I'm very sad. Because I was hoping to merge soon, but clearly not. Okay. Almost out of tea. And the coughing hasn't gotten better. That's going to be a great stream today. I think most likely by tomorrow I'm going to be fine, but yeah, today I'm not doing amazing. Yet. Okay, well, we're not working with memory management, thank God. I don't have to fix any of that today. I'll have to fix it eventually, but I don't have to fix it today. Because yeah, the changes that I made in the MMU is, in the MMU branch, is that I started working now with virtual addresses. So I moved the kernel to a high address. And that way it can actually be handled by a different table than the one that handles the processes. And that means that I can use a different MMU translation table for different processes. And that way they can all have their own memory space. It used to work. Now it doesn't. I'll have to figure out why eventually, someday, not today. Okay, here's what we're going to figure out today. My system has some colors going on. Some... Christ. Some customization that I want to put in the system. That's currently not happening. So there's things like the background color of this thing, the background color of this thing, the border color of this thing, and this one, the text color. Whether you want to use an image here. I'm a little concerned by the mouse flickering so much, because I felt like I fixed that. But apparently I didn't. I don't know what's happening there. But okay, yeah. All of those things, I want to be able to standardize them somewhat. I also want to be able to standardize some behaviors of the system, like whether it plays a startup sound or not, because I do like the idea of having a startup sound, but it helps you test that your audio is working. But when you're constantly building the system every single time and you get a startup sound, it's annoying, which is why I've disabled it. And we already have a system for loading TOML files. So could I just use some TOML to briefly configure the look and feel of the system, instead of using what I currently have, which is theme.h, this thing, actually. So essentially turning this into a TOML file. I don't know about this, but it would be interesting to do it. And that way you can customize the system somewhat. So with these values, you can actually customize the boot screen. So this animation, you can customize how many lines it draws, where it draws them. You can customize where the lines go. You can customize the text down here. You can even customize the default password, which is technically not a thing that we're using right now, but oh well, you can customize that. You can then customize the color of this and all the other colors that I mentioned from before. So ideally, that's what I want to do. So you can start customizing the system a little bit. You can have your own theme for it. Honestly, how do I put this? I should also probably put some FPS limiting on that animation, because it goes super fast when your computer is fast and super slow when it's slow. But is a TOML file the simplest way to do it? When it comes to writing code and whatnot, yes, that's the simplest way to do it. But the question is, I'm a user who just wants to customize their system. I don't know anything about configuration files or programming. Is a TOML file the easiest way to customize? An educated guess tells me yes, and it's not particularly complicated. You can modify simple configuration files for games all the time. You can modify things like those all the time. It's not a particularly big issue, but I want to make it as intuitive as possible. And so I'm thinking yes, but then I could theoretically create a program that allows you to customize it with a UI. Do you like macOS Tahoe? Yes. Yes, I do. I have to admit, the only thing I don't like about it is this. Instead of 10 pop-ups for each setting. Would you like to enable this? Would you like to enable that? Would you like to? Sounds like a good idea. Yeah, the only thing I don't like about Tahoe is how they changed the launchpad. Because before I used to be able to just click on here, scroll through pages that I arranged. Did I just open Discord or the fuck out of here? scroll through pages that I arranged, find the applications that I wanted, and use them. And now I have to search for them, which can be annoying for certain applications where I know what they look like, but I don't remember their name, which happens a lot. Like, for example, the system monitor called the task manager on Windows and different things in different Linux distros. But you know what it looks like? Very simple. It looks like a little hard monitor thing. And then it used to be in a folder called utilities. This is what it looks like. I am not always going to remember the name activity monitor. Sometimes I'm going to call it task manager. Sometimes I'm going to call it something else. But I'm always going to know what it looks like. And I'm always going to know the folder that it was in inside my Launchpad. So this is really stupid. Granted, it's still in a folder here. It's just at the bottom, but come on. Also, I hadn't seen that icon for disk utility. That's pretty cool. It's not for disk, but it's pretty cool. Can't you change it? No. Also, the Brad frame in the background. It got replaced. I got new vinyls. If you're talking about the one that was there. Yeah, I got new vinyls. Okay. So yeah, I'm thinking I do a TOML file, and then I can create a UI application that you can use to customize your system without needing to modify any code. You want to modify the code? Go ahead. You want to replace a kernel module with another one? You'll be allowed to. You have an NVIDIA GPU? On Mac? Or are you sailing the proverbial 7 seas, so to speak? Because it's not really piracy, but... Because I've never heard of a Mac with NVIDIA GPU. That's not a thing, right? You're on... Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Regarding PA1 permission, citing the manual footnote for 1.0 from VMSA v7, ARM strongly recommends use of B11 encoding for read-only at any privilege level. That makes sense. Setting up Java on Linux is hell? Is it? I played Minecraft on Linux and I have Ghidra on Linux too. It works fine on both of them. So they got CUDA for Mac. So that means there are actually some NVIDIA undefined behavior. Got it. That explains why it might not have worked last time. It worked this time, but technically it's not correct. You had 5 installs of Java. Okay, so I didn't have that. That's why it worked for me. This is 5,000. Okay. Ghidra still doesn't work. You probably have to mess with environment variables. That's usually the answer. Okay, so TOML file, GUI application built on top of that if I want to. I'm probably not going to build it today or anytime soon. As a programmer, it's easier for me to modify a file than to use an application. But the idea is that you don't need to be a programmer to use an operating system. So you can see the shitty code that people made for trash malware. Sorry to hear that. That really sucks. Okay. Let's create the file first. Theme tum. Theme tuml. Theme tuml. Just put it, no, in the root directory. Oh my god. Fuck off. My god, it's so uncomfortable to move stuff around. Why won't you scroll? Oh my god, why is it so difficult? Oh yeah, because this thing was made by Microsoft. Alright, there we go. We have a tuml. Tom is up. Now. All of this, I'm going to want to copy, not paste. I'm going to want to copy. Safest password ever in your VM. You saw the password for redacted, right? It's right here. Plain text defined in the code. And still some people couldn't find it, so. All right. I actually saw someone complaining about this feature for multi-cursor editing, saying like, why would you ever use that? Bro, it has so many fucking use cases. I don't know what to tell you. There you go. That's how easy it is to use this shit. Okay, obviously this is not gonna fully work. Fuck's sake. But I'm gonna need to expand my tuml reader to support arrays. First off, what does an array in tuml look like? File system, I haven't decided yet. Oh, you're not gonna show me an example of an array? Okay. Figure when you were telling me that it has some useful native types, you would actually show me those arrays, but no. Does it show them here? Yeah, like this. Ooh, I'm gonna need to parse arrays. I'm gonna need to parse hexadecimal numbers. It's gonna be a pain in the ass. But at least it's not gonna be this. No more. Rosalia has left the chat, I guess. I was really liking her new album, but it clearly doesn't like me. Okay. So that's what an array is gonna look like, I guess. Kind of ugly. And the multi. Ooh, this is gonna probably take more than one day. I feel like. Yeah, it's not gonna be a simple, easy change that we're gonna be making. Yeah, you know what? Let's keep the default password for the sake of it. Okay. So see how easy it was to convert these defines to tuml thanks to multi-cursor editing. Okay. So another thing that I'm gonna do real quick up here, boot screen. Then down here, it's gonna be, let's call it panic login. Theme. Okay, so you can customize all of those things with this. So what I actually have to do is make a parser that can handle multi-line options like these, that can handle, it's not strictly necessary. I could just put them in one place, but that's kind of uncomfortable. Handle arrays in the first place, and multi-line arrays in the second place. Hexadecimals. Then after that, I need to be able to put these values somewhere in memory and still have these as defaults somewhere in memory. If those values aren't loaded, it loads these. And then have the system take from those values. So let's get to work because it's a lot to do. Okay. Okay, so theme is actually going to have a theme.c, funnily enough, because the theme.h that so far has just been a defaults holder is going to be more than that. It is going to have a load theme function. And then later on, once I do that, these values are going to have to be defined inside here with a getter from wherever this puts it. And using these values, like the values from either the theme, the toml file, or the redacted.os.h defaults. So like I said, a lot of changes, but let's begin with load theme. That's the first one. So we're going to include theme.h, and we're going to do void load theme. What is this function going to do? It is going to open a file. It's going to be located inside of either boot or shared. You have to reload the system every time, so who cares? In the boot partition, let me find the best place for it. This is what the boot partition looks like. Most likely inside RedOS, yeah. Theme.toml. Gonna put that inside a file descriptor. Which we're gonna wanna zero out, because if we don't, that's gonna cause problems. It has in the past. And it would have done that now too. We're then going to read our file descriptor into a buffer that we'll create later based on the file descriptor's size. I'm just going to make this function return like that. For the sole purpose of loading defaults. like this, and then returning in just one fell swoop. There's an ad starting soon, so we're gonna take a break in a little bit. Okay, we get to this point, we've loaded a file, and we want to be able to read it, and we want to be able to load our TOML, which the parser for it, I haven't exactly bothered making a parser for TOML. I made a parser for the specific file format that I'm reading. So I'll have to generalize this. So on top of the 3 tasks or 4 tasks that I mentioned already, this one, which we'll see after the break. So I can stop talking for a little bit. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so I want to load a TOML file. I have code for loading a TOML file. The code for loading a TOML file is specific for this bitch right here. Specific for app name, app author, and app version. So, the easy thing to do, I believe, is for me to generalize this function into a TOML reading function that uses a function pointer to then get you this. Function pointers. Who needs C++? We're back at it again. Actually, function pointers are fucking amazing. In C, absolutely do not need lambdas. Those are for amateurs. We don't do lambdas in here. I would be coding assembly if assembly was up to my level, but it's not. So the only reason I don't code assembly is because it's beneath me. No, fuck that. I would never want to bother coding in assembly. Okay, so what I want to do is create a function pointer that doesn't return anything. And I look like a Sith Lord with this hoodie. Really? The fuck? Hold on. There. Does that help? God damn it. I don't know why I have like one of those things to take out a SIM card tray from your iPhones on this desk. And it keeps falling down because it's a tiny little piece of metal. Oh shit, I see it. Okay. And it's really hard to pick up. And I genuinely have no idea why it's there. Okay. Kind of blanking on anything that Anakin ever said, but you know, long hair, Sith. God damn it, she just does not want to stay up. Poor Jester, he got scared. Jester, it's okay. It can't fall further down than it currently has. I'm just gonna pick that up. I'm just gonna leave that empty for now. Next ad break, I'm gonna figure out what other vinyl to put on there. Because clearly this one's not up to standard. It's actually possibly the most beautiful album I have heard all year, but it's clearly not good enough to be on my wall. Okay, I want a function pointer, TOML handler, pointer. Is this the correct syntax? Within this and this? Fuck no, it isn't. The pointer goes before the name. Yes. 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 I think that's good. I think that's good. Okay. It passes in the I don't know why you cannot write in your system. There's a lot of different reasons why that might be happening. Can't really debug that for you. A const char, and that's gonna be the property. And we're also gonna pass a char for the value and a size t for value length. Me that wasted 5 hours in stupid assembly stack management. I moved the pointer 2 bytes too far. See what I say when I mean... see what I mean when I say that assembly is beneath me? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, this sounds good. For a handler, then we want to create a void toml read toml with a char info and a size t size. Most of this code is going to be able to be copied over. Actually, all of it, really. Also this. And now, instead of this, see, we're about to run into one of the limitations of not having lambdas. But let me offset it as much as possible, even if it's going to be like 2 seconds. It's also going to take a toml handler. Let's call it on, or key value pair even, KVP. And we'll call it key value and value length. On KVP with prop name plus data plus name, the dot data, the plus name offset. Prop and len. That's it. Okay. So now we should have a Rommel. Who's Rommel? A toml file reader that takes a function pointer to a function that it uses as a handler to actually process the key value pair. The problem is as follows. We want to call read toml with info and size. We can't really do this. If we could do this, then we would just do this. Where this is the key, this is the value, oops, and the value length, right? Simple, easy. Problem is you can't have it embedded in here like that. And the problem with not being able to have it embedded in here like that is that we don't have access to this variable if we put it in its own function. That is the one limitation to C lambdas. And I'm honestly not sure what the solution to this is. I mean, yeah, I have to put this outside of the function and then, you know, use it there, but it's not pretty. Oh my god. Dying. can I do anything about this? I'm thinking. Is there any way that I can make C-style lambdas for real? For real, even capturing. It's the way that it should be. It's like this. Even capturing local variables. Because if there is, C is officially the only language I ever want to program in. From now on. I hereby declare it. If there's a way to do this, I am not interested in any other languages that aren't C. If there isn't a way to do it, I am interested in creating a C compiler that I then turn into a D's already take it, but I could do like maybe I should just call it like my name, like D. It's a little bit too narcissistic, but then again, we're parsing Tom's Tamil language, so. Probably with some macro magic. Probably. Let's do some investigation. My unknown disease feels better now. I'm coughing. Besides that, yeah, mostly better. The virus really just pulled a one more thing from Steve Jobs, just like when the band leaves the stage and then everyone's asking for an encore and they come back. That's what the virus did. Last week it was like, yeah, you're sick, motherfucker. On Halloween, yeah, you're fucking sick. I don't give a shit. Then it was like, yeah, you're better now. November 2nd, November 1st, you're better. Oh, November 3rd? Guess what? You're literally dying on stream. I literally started that stream feeling great, and I ended up being like, okay, I need to lay down before I fucking pass out or something. What happened to the vinyl just now could have actually happened to me on stream that day. Okay, oh, this is Google, okay. Maybe it's the comments. Lamadas. I was about to say lamadas in C instead of lambdas. I feel like somebody a while ago gave me code for this. And I do have some code for lambdas inside of yeah, I can do it with macro hacking, and I've done it in my XHCI code, and I've done it in the game engine. But is that really what I want? Do I really want it to work like this? What's bro cooking here? What is going on here? Lamada. I'm just gonna call it Lamada from now on, apparently. I keep wanting to spell it like that. How do you use it? return type is a void arguments. Why is it called making an operating system and yapping? Because that's mostly what I'm doing. There's a little bit of coughing in this one, but it's not supposed to be there. It's not really part of the job. And then just a lambda body, right? Which is this shit right here. Variable has incomplete type void is a crazy message to see. Okay. Making an operating system with a dark power. It's not a technique the React developers would teach you. And it expected... Okay, so does it have to be one single line? Caveats. Asynchronous callback will not work. That makes sense. Accessing local variables in the enclosing scope is iffy. That's the entire reason I'm doing this, goddammit. Oh, you have to set O2? I literally don't have that option. That's a little bit of an issue. Damn it, we were so close. So close and yet so far. What a shame, what a shame. I mean, does it need to be all in one line? I feel like maybe it does. No, that's not it, actually. But I have to admit, I don't understand even what the $sign is doing in this case. No need names, I want... GCC will let you use $signs in identifiers. So it means that you may need to pass std and u99 to the GCC command to make this work properly. I still don't understand how that... what the $signs do here. But okay, unfortunately, I do not believe... Wait, it's a language extension called blocks. GCC has an extension for it. So, did I just need this the whole time? No, that's not it either. Holy shit, the lengths I go to not use... C++ are amazing. But also, you're pretty much guaranteed to have to compile this with GCC, so it's not my problem. And if you ever have to don't have to compile with GCC, it's because I made my own compiler. At which point, you don't have to do this anymore. So yeah, this doesn't seem to work. Nifty C macro for lambda inspection. Okay, so let me try this one instead. This seems closer to what I would have expected it to be like with declaring a lambda. Come on, man, I'm really invested in this working. In GCC, you may normally use $signs in an identifier's name because many traditional C implementations allow such identifiers. They're not supported on a few target machines, typically because the target assembler does not allow them. Okay, so it's just part of the identifier name that this person chose for whatever reason, it seems like. Okay, so I feel like my syntax here was wrong. And let me just copy their example real quick. See if that works. So don't do any of this. Instead do this. I mean, Clang complains. Clang is welcome to complain. Let's see. Damn it, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, hold on. Load theme. I accidentally made it a boolean in one place and a void in another place. Error control reaches end. That did not compile. Undefined reference to clear cache. That's not great. So, clear cache, why? GCC STD C89. Okay. What are we complaining about this? Why is this a problem? Why are you trying to do cache stuff? Because you need libgcc. I see, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Chester, what are you doing? All right, I'll be back in a minute. Hold on. The dog's been weird again. I don't think anyone's shocked. Are you good? Okay, so if I need to link, first off, it's weird that it's telling me that I need to link libgcc because, it doesn't look like it. It really doesn't look like it. Like I would need to link against anything. But then again, new location truncated to fit an undefined reference to clear cache. Safari? Really? I have a default browser and you open Safari? At 0 there is no problem. That's not true. Well, let me see what these people said about it first off. Okay, let's not do any of this. Let's just not overcomplicate things to this level. And for example, my FAT32 driver has some stuff like this. It uses this. List entries handler, for example, yeah, which gets passed in here, which does not actually generate any, never mind, doesn't actually generate any results. It just gets put inside this, and then, no, wait. Walk directory function, this one. Where the hell is the function? There, okay. And then uses the handler here. Which, wait, no, yeah, it does return something. It returns a sized pointer. Okay, so the way that it works is that you pass a handler when you call the function. The handler then returns a value, and that's how it works. Whereas in my case, that's Yeah, that one's just a normal function pointer. It doesn't really do any of this. I do have some like, well, not really functions. These are just blocks when they're declared like these. With some macro hacking in the XHCI driver, but again, not the same thing. So here it's gonna have to be a static inline void (160p) was an optimal resolution. Am I looking that bad today? This kind of sucks. Because, yeah, I can put this in here now. Cool. But now I don't have a reference to this. And how do I pass a reference to that? That's the question. How do I do how do I do this? How do I do this? I don't want to put a package info inside a static. Give us a parameter pointer. I can just use a void pointer for that matter. Context. Fuck it. We're doing context. Well, this goes against my my little short the other day gloating about all this stuff. Oh, who needs lambdas? Well, maybe lambdas have one advantage. They can use local variables. C cannot. But, once again, context. Void pointer, I mean, comes in clutch. There ya fucking have it. There you have it. That's not the best, but oh well. Do it work? Be the question. Don't think I need to make clean every single time. I was doing that because with context switching and the way that things work, sometimes it do work. It do work. Throughout this week, I did need to constantly clean just to make sure that everything I was doing was correct, but such is the dark side. It's the C way. That's actually so accurate. Yeah, it's the C way. Okay. I'm gonna need to find a new place to put the TOML reader. Any of these folders good for that? No, really? toml.h and toml.c. Pragma once, include types. And this is actually not even the first time I do that context thing. Genuinely feel like that might actually be happening inside that FAT32 driver as well. I just didn't notice it when I opened it. But yeah, that's just the solution that there is to this issue. It's not the best, but shit, it works. So, do we really care? At the end of the day, your fancy lambdas or these simple things, they all compile to the exact same thing. So, stay humble. Hacker mode enabled. I've been told it's Sith mode enabled. So, just, you know, just dropping that there. That's why the light is red too. Okay, this is good. And holy shit, most of this is not. What's your problem? Hello, Stony. Also didn't say hi to you. What are we not importing? What type are we not importing? Well, string.h most likely. So we'll include toml. Not gonna do you yet. Fuck it, I'm just gonna call it lambdas. Actually, wait, what did I misspell it as before? Lamadas. Ooh. C++ or other lambdas don't throw away compile time safety, but void pointer does. Yeah, but I know what I'm doing. So, stream just went offline. Yay. Am I fully offline or am I back? Okay, I'm back. Yeah, damn it, now there's an adding coming. I mean, if you're answering to me saying fully offline, then I'm not fully offline, I think. This may be because I reconnected my fucking repeater. Fuck's sake. I'm gonna need to go into that repeater's settings and like see if I can blacklist this computer from connecting to it without using a DHCP server on it, because that makes things just so much worse. All right, I'll be back in 3 minutes, I guess. More ad money for me. Okay, so um, I took a 3-minute ad break, and I went to look at the vinyl that fell down, and I was like, wait, why did that one fall down, but not the other one that was up? They're about the same size. And so I touched the other one and it fell down too. So now I'm back to my originals, although I think they were flipped before. Brat was on the other side, and then Malkerere was on this side, but whatever. And now I'm looking at like proper vinyl frames, because these work for small vinyls, but most vinyls have 2 discs, so they tend to be like double. And yeah. What I'm not sure about is how this one is attached. Wait, there's a video, okay. Oh, with Taylor Swift on it though, that's kind of sad. Alright, we don't want music, thank you. I'm not gonna lie, this looks good. This looks like a better thing to put up than that weird thing that I have. Alright, so I'm gonna... There's also this one. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same thing, just slightly cheaper, but it's only one. Although the 4 set is 99 euros. Jesus Christ. I'm also not logged into Amazon in this account, so it says that it's gonna be delivered on Wednesday. What am I working on? Trying not to get my vinyls to fall off the wall, pretty much. But besides that... Oh, I would get it on Sunday. Okay. All these CN companies copy each other? What do you mean? I mean, there's only so many ways that you can do a vinyl holder. I feel like there's the good way and there's the bad way. And now I can hold 4 albums, which is good because, yeah, these 2 didn't even get to stay up for 24 hours before they fell down. Alright, well, this is sad. I guess on Sunday we're gonna have some new vinyl thingies. I'm probably gonna put them up on Monday, but... Okay, don't need this anymore, don't need this anymore. Wait, did I not commit this? Oh, I didn't finish the commit that I was doing, okay. Because my stream went down and I got distracted. Okay. So I started using Lamadas, which sounds more like the thing that you do for pre-birth classes than lambdas, but whatever. Dozens of companies which sell nearly the same product. I mean, I figured when you go on Amazon to look at products like those, you end up always seeing the same things. Like... And again, there's only so many ways to... Oh shit, is this the one that I bought? I'm pretty sure this is the one that I bought. With company names like from a random generator. If this isn't the one that I bought, this is literally proving what you said. Also, it comes with 4 of these. I only have 2. Because one of them just straight up broke. Immediately. I just put it up in the little tab thingy. Like this. Oh my god. This just broke. And then 3 didn't really feel all that good, so I just put up 2 of them. I think I have another one out there, but yeah, I'm definitely not gonna use it. I might just put 2 in here and 2 in my living room at this point, since I bought 4 for the other thing. Okay. Unfortunate vinyl issues aside. Unfortunate decoration aside. Brad is back. Can never fucking escape Brad. And, okay. Toml generator is now ready to work for... If I don't die, it's ready to parse our theme. So we can go in here, we can go in here, we can go in config toml. There we go. And we can open it and we can create a lambda. Parse theme kvp. Let me see if I remember the function signature of the lambda that I created about 20 minutes ago. It was like an hour ago. Then I was just like stuck thinking about how to make it work with proper lambdas. I wasn't able to, so I don't fucking remember what it looks like. It's supposed to be this signature. This gonna be the one to load. Actually, this one, funnily enough, will use a default value. I mean, a single global value because there's only one theme. So it won't need to use the context at all. So we'll have a read toml with the buffer, the FD size, the parse theme kvp, and a null pointer for the context. Easy, simple. There you have it. Then I can create a... I can probably create a few. Type def structs. Boot theme. Few structs to hold all the information that we're gonna have. Type def struct. This one is gonna be the system theme. And just for the sake of it, another one called the system config. Then you can have one of each declared extern. And I can use these inside of the inside of the system instead of using the hard-coded values that I have here. But I will still use the hard-coded values to create the theme. Okay, so the offsets is gonna be the most complicated one. Not gonna do that one quite yet. Because this one is an array and it's technically different sizes depending on the number of symbols. So that's a little bit of an issue. But, okay, what values does it have? It has the text, number of times that it repeats, the division, the asymmetry, the padding, the inner, outer, upper, lower, these values. Oh, damn it. Okay, a const char system name. Actually, it's not gonna be a const. A system name. The amount of times that logo repeat. Division of the logo. I'm not even sure what that means, to be completely honest with you. Where is this even used? Maybe we can get rid of it. No, it's used here. Okay, never mind. I'm not sure what it means, but it's needed. Asymmetry, because the logo is laid out on a grid, and the grid can be asymmetrical based on a GPU point logo asymmetry. Asymmetry, that's how you spell it. How did I spell it in the theme? Was it wrong? Oh no, that was correct. My opinion on the 6.7 meme. Do I have to form one? Am I required to? I think it's just dumb. It's just a dumb joke, I guess. It just doesn't have a meaning, so to speak. Are you from Spain? I live here, but I'm not from here. These are integers. Fuck's sake. I always forget how to bring up the... No, I don't know how to do this. 6 times 7 is 42, and in 42 years is 2067. I just realized that. Alright, fair. Now, do I know the meaning of any of these? Absolutely fucking not. These are the ones that define the grid that I mentioned, because the logo is laid out on a grid. As to how the fuck they work, I wouldn't know what to tell you. Is it Command X? No, Command X is oh my god. I know there's a way to bring up, like, show and raw commands. Okay, it probably told me there how to do it, but... There. How do you do it? Shift Command P. It was P. Oh my god, it was P, not X. Yeah, I'm half Italian, half Venezuelan. So yeah, from the EU. On the Italian side, not the Venezuelan side, obviously. Not a given that people know that, so... Actually, not gonna import that. I'm gonna import UI graphic types. There we go. Hi, G Studios. And these are the values that we want. And then we can put them here, I believe. And should be possible to do this. Should be possible to do this. Should be possible to do. That. That. The asymmetry. That. The padding. These four. Bada bing. It is done. Okay. The only one that I haven't done is the array one. The boot screen offsets. Now that is defined as, well, let me see how I'm using it. Because the same way that I'm using it in the code. Okay, like this. Because it's based off an array of a hard-coded. You can do that selection with Control-Alt or Command-Alt and then arrow keys. Or by Alt and clicking. Or even Alt and double clicking to select. It's pretty useful. I was seeing someone on Twitter complain that this is such a useless feature, nobody uses it. It's like, I use it all the time. I genuinely don't understand why this is a problem. Well, not a problem, just like why you would think that nobody uses it. I've seen a lot of people use it too. And maybe I'm wrong about that, I don't know. Okay, I'm a little scared of trying the array thing. I need to learn more shortcuts too, like I'm not good at that. I should be able to do a pointer, right? An array pointer. The question is, can I then do this and boot screen what were they called? Offsets. No, can't do that. Too many braces around scalar initializer. But that's what we have the load defaults for. Which I guess I could create a const GPU point default boot offsets with boot screen. That's another property I didn't import, the number of symbols and number of steps. I'll get to that one. Number of symbols as boot screen offsets. And then can I just do this actually without even that function? No, not quite. Because it's const, huh? What if I don't make it const? Well, there you fucking have it. Okay, So I was able to do that. And then the last few missing are these two, I believe, that I didn't copy over. So they define the number of total symbols on the grid that there are in order to draw the logo, and how many lines between the symbols there are, which usually is the number of symbols minus 1, but doesn't necessarily have to be. Can we simplify it though to be that? Okay. So now theme.h defines a boot theme. Instead of defining the redacted OS values here, which, no, yeah, it still needs to define, never mind. It still needs to define them, but let's test it with the offsets. This becomes boot theme logo of logo points. Okay. So if I do a clean and I run, oh. There you go. It worked. So you no longer use these, you instead use the defaults as they're loaded by the structure, which can be replaced. That's the cool thing about it. And it can be made available through the file system to also make it readable, even from user space. But we'll get to that later. It's not necessary now. So all of these have been replaced. Okay, this fatal error shit, like, I'm just gonna get rid of it. There's absolutely no reason why that should be there. Well, no, because you want to define what the panic looks like. If the system's gonna crash, at least you want it to crash in style. So let's bring that back. Fuck it. Okay. The panic text and the default password are part of the system config, both of which are char pointers. This one is going to be... Huh, I didn't know you could do that. That was a complete mistake. There you go. Hey, I'm getting good at that. New lighting. I had my hood up and someone called me a Sith, so I had to do it. Obviously, default PWD can no longer be used. Unless we transform it to uppercase. Which is a standard that I tend to follow for these things, so it makes sense. And finally, there's these three for the system theme. And once I've defined all of these, I'm going to be able to get rid of the definitions. Didn't sneeze that time. Cool. So we want to do the same thing that I did. See how I use this type of editing all the time? It's super useful. Damn it. Then non-extern, this and this. Get rid of that, put that in, copy this. Transform to uppercase, replace these with commas. And just like that, whoops, double cursor. And just like that, we've done it. All of the redacted os.h values, I believe, can now be moved from the header to the implementation. There's going to be crashes, compilation errors literally all over the system. It's probably going to switch to this and it's going to be all red. Or it probably doesn't even detect it yet. But that is the way that it is. Because now it's become the boot theme system name. I'm going to have to do a lot of boot theme system name. System theme background color. Boot theme div. Boot theme padding. Boot theme symmetry. Here as well. Holy shit. Okay, pretty sure these two can both be replaced by the boot. Hey, both. I said both. You too. By the boot theme logo symbols count. It should be points count -1. The padding is the boot theme padding. Boot theme upper Y div. Boot theme repeat. System theme background color. Luckily, there's only a handful of places where I'm actually using the system theme, so it's not gonna have to be substitutions into a million different places, but it's gonna be a substitutions in quite a few places that I need to do. This is the system theme, background color, boot theme, system name. Wait, why is the system name in the boot theme? Is a question that I should have probably asked myself earlier. Default password. Background color. File search for replacing. Because there's also a lot of things to search for. So long as I know where I'm looking, there's only a handful of places. But I probably should do that. This one's good. This one should be good. So is this one, so is this one. Actually, no, there's not that many to look at. Yeah, probably a good idea to do that. Panic text, probably only going to be in the exception handler. System config panic text. That's it. Default password, don't believe that one's going to be a problem. Background color is going to be a big one. And search with case. All right. Should be able to get away with a search and replace. But per file. Can I do it per file? Lord. Are you serious? You lost the damn thing? Can you? Oh, you can do it here. Per file. Okay. That should be good. And then there's the cursor ones. Should only be used in one place. Two places in two different GPUs, right? Nobody asked you for a preview. That would be the system theme dot this thing, but lowercase. Same thing goes for you, the system theme, and this thing, but lowercase. Okay. First fucking try. Absolutely fucking amazing. Now this loads default can go. Because we already have defaults. And let's try and change the background color. That is horrible to look at, but it sure as fuck worked. You can see actually the entire system is like, not really monochrome, because you can see here it kind of fails, but it's supposed to be monochrome. Okay. There we go. Okay, so made a million changes in the system. Might as well just citrus theme. Kind of. That was Brad theme. Oh, it actually looks better in red light than it does in blue light even, but Brad themed. Okay, good. It detects. Yes, good. Good. And good. Theme. Move theme options to struct. So now, oh my god, I got my hair, my face. Now customizing the theme should be trivial. If we can load it from the TOML file, that is. For instance, as it is right now, I returned everything back to blue. Just making sure that I did. Indeed. And a theme of TOML. We're going to use you as a test. This is where it's going to get complicated because we need to parse the integer value as well, the hexadecimal value as well. And maybe I have a hexadecimal parser already. I hope I do. I feel like I do, but I'm not entirely sure I do. So I gotta check that. Okay. String.c. Yeah, I think it's there. I haven't really done any kind of like configuration like this, where you pass a file directly into the file system that needs to be, well, it doesn't need to be there. Because that's the question is, do I put this theme.toml inside my RedOS folder? Or do I commit it as part of the system? I probably shouldn't commit it. I should probably put it directly in here. And then it won't be part of my git commit. I feel like I committed something I shouldn't have. No? I didn't commit the kernel? Kernel.c? Oh, never mind. Okay, this is actually not important anymore. Cool. Great, so I can actually start working with a completely empty tree without any hacks now, because of configuration. So, yeah, now we can load a RedOS theme.toml. Why did I call it .toml? Just theme. If you have it, it reads it, it works, cool. If not, no problem. We're going to look specifically for the boot screen. No, the BG color. I probably should change these names to reflect these names, but yeah. Parse hex. Yes. Yes. Is size supposed to be the size of the string? Because if so, that's really convenient. What do you mean no definition? Yes, it's the size of the string. Amazing. So I can just pass the value and the value len like that, and I create a hex string. And I parse that into the the system theme background color. That's the value. Let's see if it worked. How could it possibly work when this function is not being called? Thank God I caught it early, because otherwise this would have been a frustrating debugging process. Okay. Should be after the file system is initialized. Load theme. After loading the debug values as well. Include theme.h. How disappointing. Wait, did I actually change it? Yeah. Sadly, it didn't work. Okay. Well, time to debug. Let's see what it finds. Where can I expect to find it? Before all of these, actually. Debug info. It didn't open. It did not open. Why am I loading the system? I don't need to do that. Loading theme, and then nothing happens. Which means that it fails to open boot RedOS theme. Okay, is boot actually prepared at this point? If it isn't, it's kind of a moot point, or a boot point, if you will. Probably not, but if you will. Then the folder is clearly there, I would say. OS, FS, RedOS, theme. So why can you not find it? Loading theme, and then the response is 1, which stands for not found. Bro, fuck you mean not found? RedOS theme. Why does it have the Unix executable file? I'm not so sure about that one, but it's clearly there. It's in the boot partition, RedOS, theme. Okay, now the logo changed. Now it's like, wait a minute. This is actually not an executable file. So why the fuck can't you find it? Actually, if we copy and paste. Yeah, it's the exact same thing I'm doing. Does it need an extension? God, I hope not. That would be dumb. Because I control the entire file system. I feel like my driver would maybe require it to have an extension, but it doesn't, so why should it need an extension? Let's call it Tamil. Okay, well, that's a good sign. It needs an extension. Is FAT32 such a stupid fucking system that it doesn't understand that this is a file? Okay. I don't like the Tamil extension, so obviously I'm going to want to give it a system extension. I'm probably going to do .theme. Or theme dot wedding. Let's Google the word theme. Theme park. Theme dot park. There's .config, I guess. I hate it, but there's .config. But you know what else I hate? Fucking FAT32. What the fuck is wrong with this damn... Okay, it all still crashes, so clearly I've done something wrong. Oh, because it finds array values. Those crash the system. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, so... Is there a .config extension? Is there a specific one, though? I think for now I'm gonna go with .config. And I'm gonna change it once I come up with something a little better. But also about that .config. It currently doesn't handle arrays, so get rid of all of these. Y'all are confusing the system. Not entirely sure why. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. Right, I forgot we have a... what is it called? Crash handler. That tells you where it crashed. Zero linked extension was valid for FAT32. There's a chance it's my driver because it handles those names, or that's technically a short name, so maybe it's my own driver that fails at that, but still. I don't know. It's not amazing that even macOS puts the terminal icon on it because it thinks it's an executable. So just for the sake of it, let's give it a proper extension. Theme dot. Yeah, most likely my driver wants that. It's expecting the dot, and if it doesn't find it, yeah. Tumble 16. Kind of forgot an important one. Okay, that's kind of a good sign. I was checking values of a string without checking if the string exists in the first place. That's so stupid. Okay, so actually it wasn't even the array that was crashing it because it should ignore unknown values. Found value BG color. Speaking of which, we're also gonna uppercase U real quick. And okay, it is seeing it, I think, because it does react to this, but then it doesn't actually parse it. Right? Most likely BG color is becoming 0. Yeah, it's 0. Okay. So why is it 0? Is the value line not correct? Holy. 10 value. According to it, it read 0x. I can just read the 10 value. Here it is. 10 characters. Yeah, that should be correct. When you parse the string, you go between 0 and size. You read the value from the digit thing here. And oh, you don't parse. Okay. It parses a 0, then it parses an x, and it's like, hey, yo, I don't do x's. And I feel like the best thing to do here is to actually parse the x. If the character is equal to x, or character is equal to x, then we can assume we've already read a 0 before it. This one just identifies the value as as being hexadecimal, and so it should be skipped, but everything before it is reset. And there you have it. Brad Green. It's actually not, but whatever. It's a number that I memorized, so. Okay. Another thing we want to check is that this happens when I is equal to 1. If I is not equal to 1, the x is not kind of relevant, you know? Maybe I also want to parse numbers as having the hashtag symbol. In which case it needs to be the first symbol in the hash. And then that's it. But let's go even further. What if the digit is a space? Palette for space characters at the end. Most likely it's an issue with my driver. I'm not gonna look too much into it. Honestly, not having an extension in that case doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Okay, there's an ad starting on Twitch. There it is. So I'm gonna quickly just finish fixing my hexadecimal parser to be a little bit smarter. Nah. Nah, forget it. This is good enough. You pass me a string, not with spaces. I don't do spaces in the parser. All right. So now it parses the background color. Just like that. I should be able to parse some other values, while also making them absolutely horrifying for testing. Eesh. Yeah, this needs to be an else if too. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna make the deselected cursor red and selected cursor blue with BB value because I wrote B instead of F. And these should absolutely not be capitalized actually. So I want them to match the same values that they have inside that code. When am I going to finish the operating system? Probably never. Is an operating system ever finished? Okay, add is over. And we're going to be adding a few more options now. We're going to be adding the cursor ones. I chose some absolutely horrifying colors for them. Should be fun. Are you serious? What is wrong with this damn cursor? Okay. Will that work? Yes. Amazing. It's so fucking ugly. But it is mine. And it is customizable by a file. That's pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure the cursor is actually not set up until this point. So even if I go by a different, hello, Road Grandpa. Even if I go by a different GPA, I read that as Grandpa. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be read as Grandpa. The different GPU that actually has a, for whatever fucking reason, it has a concept of a fucking mouse cursor built into the GPU itself. Even if I use that, I believe most likely it'll work. You can see how much slower this animation. This is how it's supposed to actually run, not as fast as it runs in the other thing. So I should do some limitations. Okay. It works on this one as well. Amazing. Isn't this just so absolutely fucking beautiful? No, it isn't. It's testing colors. I needed them to be bright and ugly so I could tell immediately if they're working or not. They are. I want to say fucking amazing. So these colors are already customizable. That's pretty cool. I'm not sure why the password is a configuration thing. It's not like there's any encryption or any passwords, so I'm just not going to include that option. Now the panic text is going to be an interesting one. It absolutely needs to have the default value because it can crash before you get to the point where the panic text shows. But if you encounter the panic text, what do? You set a system config panic text to string from literal length value length dot data, and we never want to free this string, as a matter of fact, because we need to keep it in memory. Same thing goes for the system name, which is the boot screen text. That is such a stupid name. I'm gonna change that. It's gonna be system name. These sections are absolutely meaningless. So there we go. System name. That's gonna be the name of it. Oh, BG color is no longer valid. Well, that's the cool thing. It's case insensitive, so it doesn't matter. System name goes in the system config. That's gonna change. Showing you for the previous one. If there is one, that might happen if you have two panic texts. No, that's not gonna be a thing. One of them is the default value, which is a hard-coded string, and the other one is loaded once at boot. That's it. If I do allow you to customize the system and like reload its theme at runtime, then yes, but that's not a thing that's happening here, so it's okay. Otherwise, you know, I risk free memory that isn't actually mine because it's a hard-coded string. If the user accidentally puts two panic texts. Oh well. They're wasting their own memory. I don't care too much about that. Okay, I might as well change the boot screen text name to system name. And then wherever I was using the system name, which is in the boot screen boot theme, now becomes the system config system name. And same for the login screen, which is currently unused, system config system name. Okay. How do we know that it worked? We have to change the name of it. Yep. This is turning out to be a lot easier than I expected it to be, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a little confused by how it's actually turning out to be so easy. Okay, like I said, I'm getting rid of this option. And I'm gonna need to parse all of the numerical ones, and then there's arrays, but I'm honestly not sure if I want to keep doing this today or not. I'm not feeling amazing. We'll see how difficult arrays are, and then I'll decide if I want to keep going today or do it some other time. And there's Jester having a nightmare that he was a dog. Nobody tell him. Did I just... Okay. These are actually all boot screen options. So it's boot, theme, logo. Go up real quick. Copy, paste. Get rid of the word boot screen, that. And then parse int 64 from the value and the value length. Two of them are wrong. Num symbols is symbols count. So let's call it points count. Points count, because it refers to this array over here, so that makes sense. Then that becomes that. And then num lines. Did I not include that one? Because that one's working. Logo repeat. Yeah, so maybe I want to make these names actually the same as they are in like that. And asymmetry, I'm also going to want to change you just a little bit ahead of time here because I'm not handling you yet. And offsets, I'm also going to want to change you real quick to points, points. There we go. Okay. Why are all of them string compare? Because I made a mistake. This one should have been a string compare as well. I mean, your question was why were they all string compare except for one? Because that one should have been as well. But I clearly haven't updated the boot screen fully. Logo points count. Yeesh, that's not how I meant to do that. Okay, and how do we know that it worked? Well, we're going to change the number of times that it repeats to 150, obviously. There you go. Big Chungus logo right there. Okay. There's actually two values for that for whatever reason. The div, I still don't know what this value does. So let's see. It was 10, now it's 1. Let's see how it changes the logo. It disappeared. What if I make it 5? Oh, the number of divisions of the screen. Wow, that's not a very... We're going to call it screen div. Logo div becomes screen div, becomes screen div, becomes... Oh! Screen div becomes screen div. Okay, cool. Test some padding. Not sure what the padding is for. And test changing these values. It's gonna be absolute chaos. Well, not if you keep the div lower than it needs to be. Okay, so that's the padding most likely. Or that's the I don't fucking know. Okay. I want to say these values work. Most of them. The only two that aren't working are, first off, this one doesn't need to be commented out. I think the parser can now handle them. It cannot parse them, but it can handle them. It can survive them. Yes. Okay, but also another thing is I want to undo all these changes. Except for that one. So I'm going to bring this back to 10. I'm I'll bring this back since this file is actually not committed. Cool. Okay, logo's back to normal. We then want to bring the system to 222233. The cursor color to, I don't remember what they used to be. I gotta look at that. This feels darker. I feel like I might have changed it from the original value that it had. To complete or complete it? I don't know. It's completed whenever I'm done with, well, I don't know. Honestly, never completed. These are the background color and cursor colors. And the system's name is redacted, not brat. It's an operating system, fatal error, high stays the same, 33330, 00000, 10, 15, 8. Should be good. Yeah, there's always stuff to add. There's always stuff to do. But I mean, we're working on customization. That's a pretty big sign that it's doing pretty well. Okay, I don't want to go into arrays today. But, okay, let me test it with a RAMFB GPU real quick. Just for the sake of it. Because I was on the wrong GPU. I may want to do one more thing. I feel like the color is different, but maybe it's just that I got used to the green, and now that I'm back to a regular normal color, it like doesn't hurt my eyes anymore. Okay, let me just commit this real quick. Then before I end the stream, I want to do one more thing. The one more thing I want to do is I want to add a shadow to the window. Like here. I swear to God, the cursor didn't used to flicker like this. I'm not sure why it started flickering all of a sudden. Yeah, I could make a goal for a 1.0. I don't know yet. I've been considering like where do I draw the line, but I haven't yet. Like this month I want to focus, like I said, a lot on systems architecture and on customization. So that's a big thing that I want to figure out before I even consider 1.0, because then, like, for example, do I support the graphics card for the Raspberry Pi? Let's say that they come out with a Raspberry Pi 6 and it's the exact same, but it has a new graphics card. Then is my system going to be okay with not having a graphics card? Well, as it stands right now, no. But if I make drivers external to the system, then yes. You can just update the driver for supporting the graphics card. Obviously, it doesn't mean that I'm never going to touch the system again after 1.0. I still would, and I probably would need to make some changes for the Raspberry Pi to be supported in the first place inside the kernel. But the idea is to be able to customize the system as much as possible without having to directly modify the kernel. Be it through kernel modules or through configuration files like this one. When it comes to theme, obviously not when it comes to drivers. You still don't have a file writing either. That's another one. The file system is another big one. Currently, I'm relying on the read-only boot partition file system. That's why my plan is to create a simple bootloader. Essentially, which is just going to be made out of a very well-tested subset of my current code that ideally you don't have to modify. You boot off of that, and then the kernel is put inside of its own partition in the disk, structured by me. Maybe not, I don't know. Maybe we'll just use like ext, or maybe use my own file system. Haven't decided. But it would be nice to have a custom built file system for the custom built operating system. So that's a big reason for that. Also, so that the boot partition is non-modifiable by the system, which means you cannot mess up your booting. You can mess up the kernel, because that's going to be in a different partition. That's going to be writable. And I do want you to be able to write the kernel for system updates, or me to write to the kernel for system updates. As well as, you know, getting new drivers and whatnot. But having a simple bootloader partition that technically can still be modified, because, like, yeah, but you have to consciously do it. You can't just like rf the entire system and accidentally delete your boot partition. That's not going to happen. So it could also work as a sort of recovery partition. That would be some of the advantages of having a bootloader. So that's a thing that I want to do. And if that's the case, then I don't have to implement writing for FAT32, which is not particularly complicated. It's not like it's going to be a pain in the ass, but I mean, it is going to be a pain in the ass. It's FAT32. But that doesn't change the fact that it can be done. Probably relatively easy because all the drivers for it are already there. Windows has a recovery thing. Yes, Mac OS has a recovery thing. I don't know about Linux. Haven't heard of anything like that from Linux. Probably not. Maybe distros have it. I don't know. So yeah. Having an unmodifiable partition sounds good. And then having a partition in a file system built in this century, and with a tiny little bit of logic to it, and custom built for my operating system would be nice. The last option is gonna be discarded if it contradicts the built with a little bit of logic part. Either I'm able to build a file system that's elegant, or I use an existing implementation of a file system that someone else has already built. If I'm gonna reinvent the wheel, I better make it round. If I'm gonna reinvent the wheel to make a square wheel, then I'm definitely not gonna do that. So yeah, that's the plan for it, for file writing. And like I said, a big thing that I want to rely on is this bitch right here, 9p, which is not even labeled. Let me label it real quick. Through 9p file sharing, you can have file servers, which is what they're called for Plan 9, that provide files to the operating system. That includes technically the way that QEMU provides files from Mac or Linux, not Windows apparently, into REDACTED. That's actually how we read this folder most of the times. Not in the case of this file, we're not doing it like that because it doesn't need to be done like that, but it can be done like that. And by expanding on that, since it's a network protocol, I could have file sharing. And then anytime that you don't have something ported to the system, if it can be handled through the file system, you can technically rely on a Linux or Mac or Windows computer with a server to use it. So for example, the system doesn't have a compiler. It doesn't have an entire toolchain for building stuff. It doesn't have a compiler, it doesn't have a linker, it doesn't have a debugger. But if it has 9p, you can compile from Linux, make it available through the file server, and Redacted will read it. You can also make the system distributed, which is one of my big goals for it. It currently isn't distributed, so it's definitely not close to a 1.0 until that's done. Let me see what else. Definitely gonna work a little bit on security and stability before that point. Pretty much all of the things that I started working towards there. Let's set a goal. So we want to have some bootloader. We want to have some stability. We want to have some file sharing. Some themes. Oh, an infinite scroll desktop. I completely forgot about that. I guess I want to have that too. But yeah, okay. I'm gonna end the stream soon, but like I said, I do want to add shadows to the windows when I draw them. So ¿Dónde estás? Here, I believe. No, that's tres. Here it is, draw windows. Draw window, actually, just one. I have this UI library here, Uno, which powers dos. But I'm gonna create the the shadow for, no, I can't really do that. Well, yeah, I can. Because the common UI config defines a color, so I can just assign the alpha there. Okay, let me try. I should be able to draw a rectangle with the current draw context, a rect UI config empty, the same size specified by this, and then inside of it goes that. A semicolon at the end. And then No, this is plus border size. Damn it. Size. Fixed size X. No, this actually goes by width. This one goes by height. And its color is going to be not fully translucent. Yeah, not fully, say, half color. Red, green, and blue. Okay. Did I do shadows or did I just mess everything up? A little bit hard to tell. Feels mostly okay. Although I wanted them the other direction, so I messed the coordinates up. Yeah, okay. There's no pixel blending, I'm pretty sure is what's happening. So they're being drawn as black. Let me fix the location first. I want them to pop out of the other side. There you go, kind of like that. And then maybe... Okay, I'll mess with that a little bit more later. But I don't think there's any transparency being drawn because the pixel blending function is not being used. Yeah. This is when there's transparency. We're going to want to run some much simpler, but much uglier code. Instead of copying the same value over row by row like we're doing, we need to go pixel by pixel and blend with the pixel below it. Kind of sucks, but that's the way that it needs to be done. So we want to draw at x plus dx, y plus dy, and yeah, actually passing the color directly is good. Oh, I'm not initializing them. Oh, it's been a bit since I wrote a for loop, apparently. Forgot how to do it. I'm sure there's some other way to optimize. I think it's there. I think it's barely visible. But I did notice one more thing. If this value is 0, then we can just return. No. No, no, no. Of course not. Used hide in both loops? Oh. Yeah, that was not right. But, you don't want to do this when the alpha is 0. Yeah, because then most likely you're just trying to clear something with black. Yeah, it's a little bit more visible now. And it looks pretty good. It adds a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. I need to optimize the way that I do borders in rectangles too, because right now I'm just drawing the entire shadow like underneath the whole thing, then overriding most of it. That's kind of stupid. I'll need to fix that. But that's a problem for future me, not current me. Let's see what it looks like if I draw the border 1.5 times as a shadow. So I have shadow a little bit on both sides, but mostly on one side. It's a little bit unnatural, I feel like, but I don't know. It's not the worst. It's also not the best. Let me... Holy shit, my monitor's brightness is literally at the lowest it can possibly be. Back from when I was having eye issues. Okay. Now that I can see it clearly, I like it, but I'm not sure how I feel about this part. I don't know if I like it or if I don't. It should be possible for me to just get rid of it and compare again. Yeah, this feels better. Can I draw 2 windows or will it just crash? It worked. I feel like it looks a lot better like this. Oh, why does the mouse fucking lag like this? Once I have multiple window support, this is gonna look pretty good, I feel like. Overall, solid implementation going on right here. I like it. I'm gonna give you an option to not include it, obviously, if you don't want the shadow. That's part of the customization. But not today. Yeah, what the hell today? Might as well. How do I skip the shadow though? Like I need a for loop that just skips this part and does this part alone. So I should be able to just do this for that matter. All right. There. And then when you inside of system theme, use window shadows. I can probably just put the hard-coded values directly in here without having to put them in the other thing, but whatever. Because I can just do this. It feels easier and less pedantic to do it that way, I guess. But use window shadows, there it is. Now, should be able to do if no system theme use window shadows, then you just draw solid window with the context, the fixed point, and the fixed size. And then you return. So, by default, your shadows don't want them, turn them off. Let's actually finish building support for. Use window shadows. There's no Boolean parsing. So it's gonna have to be a 1-0 value, not a true. Let's do it tomorrow. You don't want window shadows, you set that to 0. And bada bing, bada boom, the windows should be gone. Implemented a kernel and layer that will contain the utilities after. No, I'm working on. Hold on. I gotta zoom in on this one. It looks like there's a very slight shadow, but I don't think there actually is. So I think it worked. I'm working on letting you customize the system with a config file. Yep, so I'm done for the day. But I decided as a last thing to implement shadows for windows, which is something that I've been missing for a while. Although I feel like 7.7 is too much. So maybe I want to do a value like 4.4. And yeah, through a simple configuration file, you can decide whether you want shadows or not. You can decide whether you want what the background color should be like, what the cursor color should be like. Those are already options that I implemented. There's some more options that I need to implement, but I need array support in my TOML file reader, so I'm not there yet for those. I'm gonna do it tomorrow because I don't feel like implementing a whole lot of other things. One last thing. I keep saying one last thing and then I do more and more and more and more and more. By default, we play a startup sound, which I've actually disabled now by default because it was very repetitive every time you put the system, which you can do a lot when you're debugging something. And hearing the damn ding every single time. So I disabled it, but now I can use this instead of disabling it. I don't think it's too much because you will learn a lot of related to us. I love the modern operating systems, but from Tenenbaum. Give me some foundation for working with operating system releasing. Honestly, I was saying that earlier in the stream. I don't like reading most technical books. Mostly, the reason I have, let me expand on that a little bit, might as well, is that it's a book is about as far as you can possibly be from a computer. So I find it incredibly difficult to read about computers when I could just make an operating system and learn that way. Right, in the case of operating system development. In the case of other things, same logic applies there. There it is. And now we're gonna tell it to not play the startup sound in my TOML file, which I keep losing, so I keep reloading it. That's not what I wanted. Oh my god, I hate when Visual Studio does this. Who uses split screen? Even on a pretty big 4K monitor like this one, I think it makes both sides too small to actually read anything. There we go. And play startup sound. I disable it, which is how I'm gonna keep it in my configuration. And if you don't actually load and parse this value, then I don't think a whole lot is gonna happen here, buddy. I feel like I forgot that one. Play, what's the name of it? Startup sound. Which goes in the boot. And we're quiet again. That's good. Programming sucks, yay or nay? I know that's a reference to something. I don't know what it is a reference to. It sounds very familiar. I'm gonna look it up and hope that it's nothing bad, but I'm gonna look it up in incognito and I'm gonna keep my fingers on Command W just in case. Because I've been hurt before. That? Why are they literally all the trans flag or furry? Okay, no, these are not trans flag. They're just the same color, but they're not. Socks might be related to sockets. I've definitely heard of programming socks before, not sockets. Programming socks increase productivity in software. Is this Oh, no, honey, no.
En Madrid el
No,
mejor.
no.
On some very rare occasions, we've covered some interesting and important research papers on this channel, and I feel like
I'm not
this
trying to watch the whole
is
thing,
one of those
so-
times on productivity levels in the field
Okay, I didn't know the lore went this far. Wait, the reason I know about this is because someone asked me if this question has already been asked on stream. That's how I know about this. They just asked it as thigh highs. Is it time for thigh highs? An investigation into the perceived unreasonable effectiveness of programming socks on productivity levels in the field of software engineering. Studio Gallifrey is a reference to Doctor Who? Which one? Oh, well, you're on chat, so if they see it.
of software engineering. Yes, this is a piece that was actually published. Now, where it was published, well, we'll get to that one in just a bit.
Interesting.
But
Alright, I don't care about where it was published.
The principal metric we wish to observe, it is a cross
This is an actual, okay.
discipline enhancer, and that may have possibly skewed the results. The principal metric we wished to observe was whether programmers who wore programming socks were truly as productive as expected. Figure 3 shows a breakdown of technical content on wearers' screens. There was a surprising lack of interactive development environments, text editors, or other signs of code production.
No way.
However, the overwhelming majority of wearers had terminals visible, often with prominent ASCII art logos in transgender and non-binary color schemes. We know they are non-binary because it was drawn in ASCII. By definition, it is not binary. Of the dataset, 75.7%
By definition, it is binary, but whatever.
had a terminal open. This was very likely running an app like HiFetch, NeoFetch, or FastFetch. 12% had code visible, and 12.2% didn't know how to open a terminal and didn't understand the assignment. From this data, we can only conclude that either programming socks have become more mainstream and non-programmers wearing these socks are developing into programmers themselves, which I think is a pretty good conclusion, or that programming socks are so effective that the majority of wearers in our datasets simply finished their software and did not need to do any additional coding because it increased their productivity so high they can just sit around and just take pictures of their feet. Either
Okay. Okay. So this is an actual thing. Good to know. I will be wearing normal sized socks because the only thigh high socks I have were well, they're not even thigh high. But the only thing anywhere close to that was for a Halloween costume. I don't really wear them. And I'm not about to. Unless I reach 1 million. I think I said I was going to do it when I reach 1 million. I think it was in my Doom stream. But I edited that part out of the 10-hour VOD compilation that I did. So there's technically no proof. Except me saying it right now. So if I get to 1 million subscribers on YouTube, I'll have to wear them. But otherwise, no. Or that was a maid outfit. I don't remember. See you, Glauber. I'm ending the stream anyway. Okay. Okay. Well, with that philosophical considerations of thigh-high socks, we can end the stream here. I don't want to deal with a race today, so I'm not going to do that. And instead, I'm going to go have dinner and rest. And tomorrow, I'm going to stream at 3 p.m. CET, Central European Time, 2 p.m. UK time. You can translate to your own time zone, not timeline, time zone from there. I'm going to snooze the ad, just so we don't get it in the middle of the stream ending. Look what I'm doing for you, Twitch viewers. I hope you're happy, because I am sacrificing literal millions of euros to run one fewer ad and ending the stream before that ad actually runs. So, like I said, big financial loss for me, but a huge or tiny quality of life improvement for you. So, you should be very thankful, Twitch. Okay. Okay. I'm reaching the limits of how much I can talk. So, thank you so much, everybody who joined today's stream. Like I said, we're going to have another one tomorrow. We're going to continue doing this system configuration stuff with arrays. And from there, the sky's the limit on what you can do with Redacted OS. You can customize it however you want. Obviously, this is step one of the customization. So, hopefully I finish that, and then I can move on to, I don't know, like modular drivers or network. Well, I don't think the networking part would be super interesting to work on stream, because network doesn't work on this computer for whatever reason, and it doesn't work on my Linux computer, so it doesn't work on either of the computers that I stream from. It works on a computer that I don't stream from, so testing the networking wouldn't really work too well. All right. I don't know what I'm going to do next time. I just know tomorrow I'm going to do more system customization, and maybe we're going to customize it a little bit, what it looks like. Since it's not committed, I might as well do that. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. See you tomorrow.